Good morning, my friends. Tim with Outdoors for Adventure. Been dealing with a little bit of a battery issue on my Nissan Titan. Truck's a 2006 model, so you know it's getting on up in years, and I really haven't had any issues with it at all. You know, batteries, I think I've been through 2 batteries on it so far, and I bought a battery back in January of 2019, and I guess something's going wrong with it. But let me flip this camera around. This is the last battery I bought for it. Well, I guess I shouldn't say last battery because I just bought another one. I bought REDTOP. I've got this hooked up to the battery, and right now it's checking the charging system. And as you can see, it's okay. Putting out plenty of volts. Let's go turn this truck off so it's not so loud. Remy thinks he's going bye-bye. We ain't going nowhere. He's gonna get up in there. We're not going nowhere, boy. I got a clean truck up today. Actually, I do have an errand to run, but I guess I could take him with me. Let's turn that off. Take the keys out. Just let him in there for a little bit. So the charge system was okay. You saw that on this meter. And you can see our battery is charged. And then when you put a load on it, you push this button for a few seconds. Stays in the green, holding steady. Battery's good. I held it for quite a while there. And let's see take this off here. Let's just get this out of the way. I know I'm trying to do this with one hand, but that'll stay like that. Now let's see here. This REDTOP is 910 cranking amps, 720 code cranking amps, 44 amp hours, and reserve is 90. Now when you buy these, they come with a tray that's mounted to the top of the battery, and that tray is also a spacer in case you need to raise your battery up. You can clip it off the top of the battery and it'll go underneath, but in the Nissan Titan it fit right in. Now you're probably wondering what this is. That's a temporary thing I used to hook my winch up. That's going to change. I'm going to add another little thing, and it's just be a wing nut where I take the wing nut off and on and slide the cable for the winch. I don't leave it hooked up because it does drain the battery. But anyway, you know, as you can see, the battery's good. It's been in there all day yesterday, all night, and my truck started this morning, and it didn't look like the battery drained down none. Which brings me to my other battery. Now, this battery, I bought 119, and it's Eversmart, and I've had decent luck with these batteries, believe it or not. And this one is a 925 cranking amps and 750 code cranking amps, and I've got it on a charger. Now I guess it did go down some during the night because it's actually charging again, but I had a green light yesterday that it took a charge. But it's really hard to tell. Let me unplug this charger. We're going to disconnect the charger. And I should have got a tripod. I'm trying to do all this with one hand, but we can do it. Put the hot on. Put the ground on. Now it just come off the charger, but it's, You see it's in the red, like it's overcharged. I think that's because I just took it off the charger. It should come. Let's go ahead and give it a load. And you see it falls, and it's falling. Went down to 800, which it's not saying it's weak. You see, we're in the 12 now. We do this again. Falling. It seems to be, no, it's still falling. So I would say that that's my issue. This battery is bad. Yeah, it holds charge good enough that I can still use this one to power lights or stuff when we go camping. So I will use this for extra battery in case the battery I use for my camping stuff in the truck bed gets too low, so I don't get enough sun to charge it back up or something. I'll have an emergency battery to run my lights and refrigerator. So I'll keep that back there as a backup, because it does take a charge, but when you put a load on it, you see that it starts falling. See, we're in the yellow now, weak. And I used this on the red top, and I held this, put a load on it quite a while, and it never did really fall, nothing like that. And I had another battery that this one replaced, and it did the same way as this one does. It took a charge, and when I put a load on it, it seemed to handle it, but eventually, you know, it would go down, and I would assume, you know, any battery would, but I guess they fall just a little too fast. But they checked that battery and they said it was bad. So I went ahead and used it for a core, and you know, it was a lot older than this battery. And like I said, I'm gonna keep this one for a spare. But when you're out in the woods in the middle of nowhere, you don't want to be worrying about your battery in your truck not starting your truck. And when we left the woods this last camping trip, the truck hesitated. I almost didn't get it started. Now I always carry my Stanley Fat Max with me, and you know, jump box in case I need to jump the truck. So we would have got going. It wouldn't have been a big issue. But I like knowing that every time I get in my truck, it's going to start. Now I've had a yellow top before. I had it in a 1984 CJ7 Jeep, and it had a winch on it. And honestly, I wasn't all that impressed with the yellow top. I didn't get a real good life out of it. Now I've heard people saying that they don't make these as good as they used to years ago. We're gonna find out. I went ahead, it wasn't that much more, and all the dirt roads and bumps and stuff we're going over, these have you know, anti-vibration qualities about them, and I figured that that would be good for us. So I just went ahead and spent the extra money and popped this in there, and we're going to see what kind of life we get out of it and if we have any problems. And one thing I have heard about these is you don't ever want them to let them discharge, because it's hard to get them to charge again if they completely go down, which I shouldn't have no problems with that, because I always try to stay up on my vehicle maintenance and you know, keep an eye on my gauges and make sure that the truck is putting the voltage out that it needs to be putting out. And the only thing extra that I have put on this battery, on this truck battery, is my winch, which is here. And like I said, I've already found out it will drain your battery if you leave it hooked up. So I just keep the hot wire off the battery, and if I need the winch, I just hook it up and use it, and then when I'm done using it, I'll disconnect it. And I put these LED lights in, and I thought, okay, well, maybe these lights are draining my battery, you know, even though the switch is off, maybe somehow it's draining the battery. So I pulled the fuse completely out to where there's no juice coming to these at all, and the battery still went down. So I knew that the lights weren't the issue. And those are the only things I've added extra to this battery. Everything I've added to my truck, as far as my refrigerator, my lights back here, you know, my stuff I use to charge phones and everything, all comes off a single battery that's in here that is not tied into the truck whatsoever. Now I can tie it to the truck as far as charging it, but most of the time I don't have to. But anyway, hopefully that red top fixes the problem. It looks like it is, even though that battery seems to handle a load. I think that it drops quicker than it should. And I'm not an expert on these batteries, but obviously it had to be a bad battery. Now on this here, I turned this way so it's easier to get to. I think I got my tailgate locked, I do. But it makes it hard for me to get up in here and get my chairs. And the porta potty is up there, and there's 5 gallons of water up there, and you see my grill. I have to kind of climb over this stuff to get to it, and I didn't like it. It is a lot easier to get to this refrigerator. So what I did is IceCo finally started making a slide for this. From what I can see, I was better off buying theirs already made than trying to make one. So I ordered that. That's going to be coming next month sometime. And I'm going to flip this refrigerator around sideways again, because it allowed me to stand my chairs up in the middle and just slide them out real easy. And since this will now, when it's turned around, it'll now slide out onto the tailgate. That's going to give me room that I can climb up in through here and get to the porta potty and get in my boxes. I have a little empty area there with, you know, enough room that I can get through here. So that's going to change that. I'm going to fix this to where it's back around lengthways with the bed, and then when I drop the tailgate, it'll pull out to about the edge of the tailgate, and it'll open the space up to where I have more room to maneuver in there. It's just too much of a pain trying to get up in there. You know, you have to climb on your belly to get in there and get that stuff. And when it was the other way, I didn't have to do that. I could get in there on my knees and get everything. So that'll fix that. It'll be here soon, but for now we're going to leave it like that, because it is easier to get into like this, since I don't have the slide as far as the refrigerator goes. But anyway, I just wanted to touch base. You know, I know people have some issues with their batteries off and on, and I really thought my batteries were good. I thought this battery especially was good because it would take a charge. I would get a green light on my charger. I could give it a low. See, it's still 12 volts. And I give it, and then it just falls off pretty quick. See how fast that needle's going down? Which you ain't supposed to hold in but 5 seconds or so. But let me pause this camera. Okay, I've hooked this thing back up to this red top. And you can see, you know, we're in the green, just sitting there. And I'll go ahead and I'm going to hold this longer than I really should, but I'm going to put a load on it. And we'll see if it falls like that one did. See, it's not falling. It's holding. That's the only difference I see in this battery and that battery over there, is when you put a load on it. This one pretty much holds, and even though it's a slow drop, when you put a load on that battery, it goes down into the yellow. So I'm going to say that the battery is definitely the issue. Now, one way I'm going to know 100% sure it's the battery is if that battery keeps me going and the truck sits back here for a couple days and doesn't go dead, and I can still start the truck. Because with that battery, after 2 days, I'd come out here and I could almost not start the truck. So that'll be the 100%, yep, it's the battery. And I said I'm no pro on doing this stuff here. I kind of know a little bit about it. And I thought when you hit the button for 5 seconds or so and it stayed in the green, that the battery was good. But obviously something's not right. And like I said, this battery's been in here all day and all night, and it's still 100%. So I'm pretty sure that the issue is with the battery. So if y'all saw anything I did that was wrong, or I'm not understanding correctly, be sure to throw it down there in the comments and let me know what you think about the situation. It's a shame that this battery, if it's bad, didn't last any longer than that. But like I said, a lot of people won't even buy those Walmart batteries, but I've actually had decent luck out of them. Like I said, I had a yellow top before, and I was really disappointed in it, especially after the money I paid for it. That one there, time I said and done, was $219. So hopefully it's a good one, and it'll last me several years. We will find out. But I guess I rambled on about this. I just kind of wanted to share my battery ordeal. When you're doing stuff like this, it's not always just fun. You do run into things you have to maintain. You run into issues you have to take care of, and it costs money. And as y'all know, when I started this channel, my whole thing was trying to get into this as cheap as you could, and then build up over time like I have. And even though I've built up pretty quickly, you could take your time and just add a piece of equipment here and there and still be able to get out there and enjoy nature and overland and camp and all that kind of stuff. But I've got my setup like I want it. I do still have some changes going to come. Eventually I will have a drawer system in this truck, and I will have these boxes gone, and I may just have one solid box going across the front. And I'll be changing up my rack, completely different than this one, and all of this stuff will be built into my rack. So eventually that will come. But for now, I'm gonna let y'all go. I just wanted to share a little bit of what's going on today. And let me go ahead and add, I'm telling you that you have maintenance and stuff to do. I was cutting my yard. I didn't get to the backyard. There ain't a lot of grass back here. We haven't lived here too long, and before we bought it seemed like the yard was never raked, so this was full of leaves. But I was cutting grass yesterday, with this. I've had this mower for several years now, and I don't know how long time. And I used to cut commercial with it, which I don't anymore. But I was cutting the grass, and I broke my deck belt, and I think it's because my idle pulley has some wobble to it. I think it's binding up when the belt's on there, because it got the belt real hot and it broke off. But everything else, I checked everything else and they seem good. But you can see there's quite a bit of wobble in that. So I just ordered a whole new pulley and a new belt, and we'll put that on there and see if that fixes the problem. That is the first time I've spent money, after the initial cost on this mower as far as maintenance. Of course, I had to change my oil and gas filter, but other than that I haven't done anything. I could use a new battery for it too, but it's still cranking it with the help of my Stanley Fat Max. And with our yard now, I can cut our yard with this thing in like 5 minutes. It's kind of overkill for this yard, but we moved from acreage, had a little mini farm that had goats and had a couple of hogs and stuff like that, but we used this to cut a lot of the acreage. And like I said, I cut some other people's places, and had some pretty big places that I cut, and man, this thing was a champ. And I do recommend this bad boy mower, and they've got some really nice equipment. They're made really tough. And I've been through Husqvarna's from Lowe's. I've been through I forgot what that other, Murray. I've had several ride mowers, and for the money, this thing here was good value, and I haven't had a bit of problem out of it. I mean, it's tough. So yeah, the old bad boys, good mower. So hopefully the belt and the pulley will be here soon. I'll get that going again so I can finish cutting the yard. But you know, sometimes, you know, things just tear up and you end up having to spend money to fix them when you're not really counting on it. Some people always say if it's not one thing, it's going to be another. But we've been pretty fortunate, and everything seems to be holding up pretty good for us. Just little things pop up here and there, but God's really blessed us and gave us a good life. And on that note, with all the mess that's going on in the world today, I'm going to leave y'all with one thought, and it's love each other and treat each other as you want to be treated. And with that, Outdoors for Adventure is going to run to UPS. Y'all have a great day.